Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host today. And today we have on the show Terry Burrows, Managing Director of Ghost Design. And we're going to dive into his business, his journey to business ownership, and what it really looks like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome to the show, Terry. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to dive in. So, give us a brief overview about you and your role in your business.
Okay, so I'm the managing director of Ghost Design. We're a graphic and web design agency based in Leamington Spa in the UK. We're in our 25th year, so we're silver anniversary this year. 25 years of running the business. Um, we've Over those 25 years, as you can imagine, we've done a lot of different things. So we've created corporate identities, we do brochures, we do signage systems, exhibition work, packaging, web, social media, you name it, we do it. So that's kind of what we do.
Oh, that is incredible. That's so crazy because that's my background is graphic design. So, I'm really
Well, yeah.
excited to geek out. Yeah. So, you said you started 25 years ago. And what's your kind of typical role, your day to day? What's that look like now in 25 years later?
So when I say I've been in the industry 40 years. So prior to Ghost, I was employed as a graphic designer. So if we go back 40 years, it's changed an awful lot. So back then, I was working on a drawing board. We were doing paste up. We were using cow gum, spray mount, marker pens. It was very, very different. And then along came the Mac, and that revolutionised the industry. Um, Day to day, these days for me, I mean, I obviously oversee the running of the business, so I do the financial side. I do a lot of the meetings, but also I'm still in there dodging bullets. I'm still creating. I'm still designing. Um, it's not something I do as much as I used to. I was full time design, and recently I've tried to rein back a little bit and work more on the business and not in the business, which has proved difficult. I mean, we're a relatively small team. There's only five of us, so extracting myself from the design process entirely is very difficult. But as a designer, it's also very difficult. You walk past one of the other guys doing something, you can't help but stick your 10 pen and think, oh, if I was doing that, I'd do this. And I keep having to stop myself doing that because it's not really my role anymore.
Mhm.
But I think deep down, it's always going to be my role. So yeah, I do everything really.
Mhm.
As a small company, so you have to get stuck in.
Well, you said something that really reminded me of back in my college days in the graphic design studio, which was, yes, I remember that spray mount smell very much taking over. So it's so fun to have this like kind of like conversation with a fellow designer because that designer side of you never leaves. That is very true. So kind of like looking at your business now, who do you serve? Are you serving agencies, other agencies, or what's your client look like?
No, we don't do other agencies. We spend most of our time producing work for direct clients. We've kind of got a bit of a niche in that. My very first client was a cattle society. So I know cattle are big over in Texas where you are.
Yes.
Uh, we ended up working for one of the biggest cattle companies in the UK, or the biggest cattle breeding society in the UK. And kind of off the back of that, we picked up lots more agricultural clients. So by default, probably 50 or 60% of our clients are agriculturally based. So a lot of cattle, a lot of sheep. We do machinery, grass seed, all sorts of stuff, just because we've kind of become known for that. That said, we still do work for other companies as well. We do automotive. We do a lot of packaging for food companies. So it's quite diverse what we're doing. Um, I forgot if that's the question you asked me. I might have gone off on a tangent there. I don't know.
No, that is totally, totally on board with the question. And so, yeah, just like talking about the clients you serve. And so you answered that very well. And so what are your competitors like out there? Is there obviously there's other design studios, there's marketing firms. How do you compare with your competitors?
There aren't any others. We're the only ones in the UK.
Oh,
And
wow.
we're the only ones worth bothering about.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Do you know, graphic design has always been a really weird industry to be in. Everybody keeps themselves to themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are loads of agencies over here. I mean, Leamington and this area is a hotbed for design, particularly gaming design.
Mhm.
They call it Silicon Spa here because of the amount of games developers that we have here. I mean, in this building I'm in, there's probably 5 or 6 other design companies.
Mhm.
Um, but the odd thing is we don't communicate with each other, which is ironic, really, for a group of people that are there to communicate. Um, so I don't really know an awful lot about my competition. It is out there. Everybody keeps themselves to themselves. I guess, I look at other people's websites and stuff from time to time. I think, yeah, that's nice, or that's not so good, but we don't ever really get any direct involvement with other people. The only time there's anything, I suppose, is if we're pitching for work with a client.
Mhm.
Um, and it's always annoying to lose a pitch to another agency. And the moment you lose, you find out who they are. You go and look at their website and think, well, why did they go to them? They don't seem any better than we are. Um, so I don't really know is the honest truth. I suppose you could say that I should know more about my competition. I mean, it seems rather stupid, but I'm pretty sure if you asked the majority of other designers in this building, probably say the same thing. Everyone keeps themselves to themselves and are very guarded. So unusual.
It's kind of funny. That's how it is over here too. Like,
Is it?
yeah, that's actually quite, even in school, it was a very quiet, we were a very quiet department for being in communications. But yeah, maybe it's like a visual thing. But yeah, it's a kind of a similar vibe. So that's interesting that it's, the same over
I've
there.
kind of tried to break the mold here. We've got a podcast studio here. So I thought it would be quite nice to create a podcast about design.
Mhm.
So I was originally going to just have my team, but then none of them seemed to want to do it. So I put it out to the wider audience. So it now consists of 3 other designers from here, and we come together in the podcast studio and we just chat about design, our experiences. It's quite a wide breadth of people. So you've got me that's been in the industry 40 plus years, and you've got, one of the girls that's on the she's been in it 2 or 3 years. So it's a massive gap. And funnily enough, it works really well. So this whole thing about not talking to your competition is just crazy, really. So I am actually trying to change that here. And I think it's working. It's nice because ultimately we all do the same thing. We all have the same problems. We all have the same experiences. So it's quite nice to chat to other like-minded people, really.
Oh, definitely. There's a podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a design podcast, and I'm gonna email it to you after this. It's a one, and it's for designers from all sorts of different walks of life. They live in different parts of the world. One of them is in like South Africa. A couple are in the United States, but I'll get that to you because I really think that is such a great format to communicate, much like we're doing right now. To
That'd be
share
interesting. Interesting to see
information.
if they're doing a similar thing to us. They're probably doing the downside better, but
Yeah, I'll send it over. It might be fun
okay.
to connect with them. So this actually leads perfectly into my next kind of section of questions, which is all on your marketing and how you are putting yourself out there into the world. I love to get an idea of how businesses are doing that. So, what are your marketing pursuits to put yourself in, the eyes of your clients? What's working for you?
Um, it's it's like talking to a mechanic who's got a really ill running car. You know how they say that mechanics they're the last thing they work on is their own car, etc., etc. I guess it's a little bit the same with us. So we're busy marketing and designing for so many other clients. We have very little time to market ourselves. So the vast majority of work comes from our website or word of mouth. So
Mhm.
recommendation from current clients is always the strongest form of client you can get because they're coming in that you're a known quantity. It's an easy sell, really.
Mhm.
So that's probably where the majority of our stuff comes from. It's been quiet this last month because over here in the UK, people are on holiday for the month, so it always goes quiet. So we've taken this opportunity to look at our own website, to rebrand. 25 years, it's a good opportunity to have a look at the logo. We've done that. And we started doing a bit of social media at long last. You know, we're doing it for other people, but just poor at doing it ourselves. And I think, you know, the same could be said for a lot of other agencies out there. I'm sure there are people out there that are killing it and doing a great job. But I think the vast majority of people, particularly in companies of my size, probably just don't have the time to do it. So it's something we're making a concerted effort. And I've literally just come from the studio into here, having done the next month's content for social media. So yeah, that's kind of how we get it. Word of mouth. Website, obviously, it's important to have a good website. And social media. They seem to be the three key ways of getting work these days.
Definitely. Yeah. And I took a look at your website and I really like how it is a very interactive and fun. You have that video that plays. So I really felt like I could tell you guys put a lot of effort into the design that you create just by like the website. And so, yeah, I kind of like to dive into a little bit about you. You know, we've got a great overview of the business and the marketing that you're doing. But my question for you is, why did you go into business for yourself as opposed to working for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
I think I always knew I would work for myself. My whole family was self-employed. My nan, my dad, you know, everybody around me was self-employed. And although working for somebody else was fine, I think there was always something inside me that knew that I would end up doing it on my own.
Mhm.
And that's not because I think I'd do a better job or anything. I think it just got to a point where I had ideas that potentially the people I was working for not necessarily didn't agree with, but didn't want to run with. And to be honest, now I'm probably unemployable. I can't imagine at my age now anybody would take me on. I just don't think I would too stuck in my ways. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just kind of knew. I think that it was going to happen. I mean, it happened by default when it happened. I was working for an agency here in Leamington, and I was basically managed out. I think I'd ruffled a few feathers within the hierarchy there, just by being a bit outspoken and perhaps not doing things the way they wanted to do it. And I left, and when I left, a lot of the clients sort of turned around to me and said, well, look, why don't you go set up on your own? Because we like the way you operate, you know, like the design, we like the way you communicate. We would come with you. I thought, well, it's got to be worth a go, hasn't it? So I did, and 25 years ago, and I've not looked back since, really. So it kind of just fell into place, really. But I think it was destined to be at some point.
Yeah, you had that inner knowing, and yeah, definitely. That's a really cool story, and it's I think that's really encouraging to other entrepreneurs out there who are maybe just starting out on that journey by themselves and thinking like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? So I think that's really gives
What
them
have you
some
got to
hope.
lose, really? You've got nothing to lose. Give it a
True.
go.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you know, it doesn't work, and you go and find another job. So it's not the end of the world. But I think you do have to be a specific type of person to do it.
Mhm.
You've got to be pretty motivated, obviously, to go and get work and to do the work. It's very tempting to sit there and put your feet up and watch TV when you're working from home, as I was at the time. I mean, working from home is the norm now. I mean, we do hybrid working here now, 3 days in, 2 days at home. But you have to be disciplined to make sure you're doing the work. And I think once you do become employed, you start to realise what your ex-boss was actually about. Because we used to ridicule him, so it's okay for him. He's got a big house, and he drives a Ferrari, and he's got a plane, all these things, all these trappings that we had created for him. But actually, when you look at it from the other side of the coin, when you're the employer and not the employee, it's very different. Because
Mhm.
what we didn't see was the stress, him going home at night and worrying about the business and having to cover salaries and where's the next job coming from. And ultimately, I think if you've got the guts to go out and set up a business, you do deserve some sort of remuneration, and if that comes in the form of Ferrari, so be it. But, it changes your perspective. But, it's very easy to point fingers at owners of companies and say, well, it's all right for you. You do nothing. That's not
Oh,
true.
that's a really, really good point. And definitely the burden. There's it's definitely heavy as those who wear the crown, when you take on the heaviness of it, it's you're called to it. And yeah, I definitely can see that perspective. And kind of going into my next question, looking at your journey thus far, what is one of those roadblocks or challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, roadblocks. I guess it's lack of knowledge, really. I suppose you bumble along. I did a course in graphic design at university. I didn't do a business course, so when you set up a business, there's a lot you don't know, and there's 25 years on, there's still a lot I don't know. I would strongly encourage people to read up about being in business, the right way to go about it, how to market your company, how to do the financials, how to understand the financial side of a company is really important. Business coaching, for example, is a great way to do that, because you need help. You really need help. And I've been lucky. As I say, I've stumbled my way through 25 years, and I haven't really made many mistakes. Pure luck, not judgment, I might add. And I've done okay. But if I knew then what I know now, it would have made the whole journey so much sweeter and easier. And the help is out there. And now, with the internet and stuff, you only have to Google things these days, and you can find anything you want. So, do your research. That's what I would say, and get help where you need it. But I haven't really had any major stumbling blocks thus far.
That's a good thing. That is a good thing. Well, that shows like testament to the work you do and staying educated. And kind of like moving into our next series of questions. These are going to be our rapid fire. So I'm super excited to dive into these. These are answering very top of mind. First thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
I'll put my bulletproof jacket on, shall I?
You came prepared. I love
Yeah.
that. All right. The first question is, what is the key to success for you?
Wow. Key to success: surround yourself with good people, I would say. Get the right people around you and do your research. I think they
Definitely.
would be two things I would highly recommend. And when I say do your research, that might be, if you're going to pitch to a client, for example, do some research on them, find out what they're about, what they've done in the past. There's nothing worse than rocking up in front of a client and them going, well, what do you know about us? And you go, nothing. What does that say about you? Do your
Yeah,
due diligence, find out about them, find out about their area. That's important.
definitely. And the second question is what piece of advice do you have for other business owners?
Wow. That's a big one. Advice for other business owners. I think maybe don't be afraid to ask for help.
Hmm.
No man's an island. We can't know everything as a business owner. It's lumped on you. You're making the tea, you're doing the finances, you're getting the work in, you're building your website, you're doing your corporate identity, you're doing whatever you're doing, cutting hair, making potato crisp, whatever you're doing. You're doing all these things, juggling all these things all the time, and you just can't do it all.
Yeah.
And I think stick to what you're good at, and things that you aren't good at, give them to somebody else to do that is good at it, because it's going to save you time in the long run, and you're going to get a better job. People say, "Oh, you should train yourself to be better at jobs." Why? Why put in so much effort to be average at something when you can spend all that time making yourself superb at something else? So
Hmm.
I think that's possibly good thing to think about doing. Yeah, I would do that.
Powerful advice for sure. Next question is, what is one book, or it could be a piece of content from anywhere, podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
A book. I, te- I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of business books when I'm driving into the office. It takes me about 40 minutes to get into the office. So it's a great opportunity for me to listen to stuff. And I kind of get halfway through a lot of them and I think, they don't grab me a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
They all have something about them that's important. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a book, but they take so long to get around to. Oh, they should be able to price them down. So a lot of them I don't finish, which is really bad. The last book I read was actually Stephen Bartlett's book, which I think is called, what's it called? Happy Sexy Millionaire, I think it might be called.
Yeah.
It's his life story. And that was really inspiring. It's a rags to riches tale, isn't it? Growing up from, living in Manchester and finding coins down the back of seats in McDonald's to live on to being a multimillionaire. Of course, that doesn't happen to everybody, but I think there are messages in there that, everybody can take away. And it was also interesting to see how, no matter how much money he accumulated, it was never enough. And I think it was in his book, he said that if you ask a millionaire how much money you require to retire on, they would say, I need 10 million. If you ask somebody with 10 million in the bank how much they need, they would want 100 million. If you ask someone with 100 million, they want, and so on and so forth. There's never enough. Yeah. So that's a very good read, actually. That's worth a read.
Definitely. And then our final question is, if you had to choose only one area of business you could rapidly improve on tomorrow, what would it be?
I could, or I would want to.
What you'd want to.
What would I want to do? I guess more diversity in the work, I suppose. As I said earlier, we do a lot of agricultural stuff, and that's great. But there's only so many balls bums you can look at in a day. And then when your break is sheep's bottoms, I think I would personally like to do more automotive work because I'm a petrol head, or a gearhead as you call them over there, and that excites me. And we do touch on it. We do bits and pieces. I'd like to do more of that. So I'd perhaps like to just steer the company towards something that I enjoy more and I get more of a thrill out of. But that's not to say I'm not happy where I am. I am. Agriculture's afforded me a very nice lifestyle, so I'm not complaining. But a little bit of diversity wouldn't go amiss.
Definitely. Well, thank you for answering the rapid fire questions. Before we get to our final question of the day, drop your contact info. How can people get in touch with you?
So you can go to our website, which is www.ghostds.com, or you can phone us on 01926 887171.
Wonderful. Well, this has been such a fun conversation. It's always nice to, talk with someone who understands the design world, just like my personal, kind of fun. And so thank you for sharing this story. For our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
What is most inspiring to me? Oh, wow, you don't pull punches, do you? What do I find inspiring? I tell you what I find inspiring. I was talking to a client a couple of hours ago, and this is going to sound really weird. Garden centres. Do you know what a garden centre is?
Yeah. Like you buy plants and trees and stuff, right? Yeah.
So over here, garden centres are more than just plants and trees. You go in and they've got like food and drink and everything, and you go in there and the packaging in there is phenomenal. I walk around there with my other half, and it's just like it's so cool. These niche little products that they probably don't sell an awful lot of them, but the effort they've gone into to make them look as beautiful as they can. It's almost like you could make a book of designs from a garden centre, you know, food and drink, and just lovely. I really like that. Maybe it's just a garden centre I go to. Maybe their buyer is just particularly design led. I don't know, but they certainly do a good job. Where and I walk out there and I take lots of photographs. My other half thinks I'm mad. I'm constantly taking photographs in supermarkets of packaging. But yeah, there's some really nice stuff. So I guess the fact that there's still people out there that can do a good job.
Definitely geeking out about good design is I can totally resonate with that. So I really appreciate that. Terry, this has been such an inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest today. I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you. My pleasure.